Something is not true until it is true in thought, word, and deed. Let's break this down further for your success as well as my own. Feel free to skip the commentary using the chapters, and remember to check out the previous episodes for full context. You can find the link to the playlist in the description below. To be respectful of your time, let's get straight back into the book.
Of course, you're well past the point where you must have it explained to you that the Father-Son descriptions of God have nothing to do with gender. I use here the picturesque speech of your most recent scriptures. Much earlier holy writings placed this metaphor in a mother-daughter context. Neither is correct. Your mind can best hold the relationship as parent-offspring, or that which gives rise to and that which is risen. Adding the third part of the Trinity produces this relationship: that which gives rise to, that which is risen, that which is. This triune reality is God's signature. It is the divine pattern. The three-in-one is everywhere found in the realms of the sublime. You cannot escape it in matters dealing with time and space, God and consciousness, or any of the subtle relationships. On the other hand, you will not find the triune truth in any of life's gross relationships. The triune truth is recognized in life's subtle relationships by everyone dealing with such relationships. Some of your religionists have described the triune truth as Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Some of your psychiatrists use the terms superconscious, conscious, and subconscious. Some of your spiritualists say mind, body, and spirit. Some of your scientists see energy, matter, ether. Some of your philosophers say a thing is not true for you until it is true in thought, word, and deed. When discussing time, you speak of 3 times only: past, present, future. Similarly, there are 3 moments in your perception: before, now, and after. In terms of spatial relationships, whether considering the points in the universe or various points in your own room, you recognize here, there, and the space in between. In matters of gross relationships, you recognize no in-between. That is because gross relationships are always dyads, whereas relationships of the higher realm are invariably triads. Hence, there is left-right, up-down, big-small, fast-slow, hot-cold, and the greatest dyad ever created, male and female. There are no in-betweens in these dyads. A thing is either one thing or the other, or some greater or lesser version in relationship to one of these polarities. Within the realm of gross relationships, nothing conceptualized can exist without a conceptualization of its opposite. Most of your day-to-day experience is foundationed in this reality. Within the realm of sublime relationships, nothing which exists has an opposite. All is one, and everything progresses from one to the other in a never-ending circle.
I find this triune truth template very interesting. This triune truth template, if I understand correctly, is any one object you observe that can be divided into 3 main parts. I want to take this opportunity to explore the triune of thought, word, and deed with you. For I believe we can all be better through thinking, speaking, and acting wisdom. Something is not true until it is true in thought, word, and deed. Let's break this down further for your success as well as my own. Stating that something is true when it is held in thought, word, and deed is a transformative understanding of your own power. Thoughts, words, and deeds are the main creative forces we all have access to. This triune truth is therefore a statement of full alignment. Let's start with thought. For something to be true in thought, you will have to think it. But not only that, you will have to believe that thought. Is it true in thought? Can you believe your own thoughts? For if I think I am the fittest guy on earth, but the next thoughts come in and they say, Do you really believe that? Come on, who do you think you are? Look at those flaps on your body. The key to transformation is slightly better thoughts that will not result in disbelief from within. Something is only true in thought if you believe it to be true. This can also be achieved through faith. If you have the faith to know that your affirmative statements of gratitude will be heeded through self-realization, you'll find that there will be no disbelieving thoughts following those affirmative thoughts. You must, however, be honest with yourself, because faith too is relative. That is, you won't have the same degree of faith towards different topics and situations. So when you try faith in thought and notice disbeliefs pop up, just try the best statement that doesn't result in those thoughts. You can use your entire body for this process, truly feeling into it. I especially feel what I hold as true in my third eye, heart, and solar plexus. But even further, I will check with my gut and ego. The goal is full alignment of all parts of self you are consciously aware of. You may notice here that we tap into feeling and could potentially say that something is not true until it is true in feeling, thought, word, and deed, thus it no longer being a triune. However, feeling is more of a guiding measure with which you can understand how true something is for you. Sensing into this with your whole body is a way to gauge how well you are aligned. In the ideal scenario, an affirmative statement of gratitude for what is will be experienced as absolute bliss. I personally experience this almost every time I meditate and think, I am grateful for what is. Here my thought is true, and I believe it. No disbelieving thoughts pop up after thinking it. In this case, I may not speak this out loud, but aren't thoughts made up of words? So I got the word and the thought. Where is the deed? The deed is being in that moment, meditating, and affirming my gratitude for what is. My thought, word, and deed in that moment are encapsulated within the thought and existing alone. The feeling of bliss that pours through me when I make this statement is the experience of full alignment with my thought, word, and deed. This all works a little differently when we take it back to losing weight as an example. Here I will have to think, speak, and act towards an ever fitter version of myself. And another thing comes in, time. My ideal body is not true until it is true in thought, word, and deed through time. You are not just transforming your current body, you are transforming your thoughts and beliefs about you and your body. This is an act of self-transcendence. Back to the topic of triad and dyad. This is a good opportunity to explain some parts of the absolute and relative dimensions. In the absolute, all is one, all is, and nothing is. The absolute presents all aspects of being at all times. A realm of both and, yet, though these parts are still observable, it is immediately clear and obvious that they are one. One can access past, present, and future in the same moment. It is as though the perceived separation has less density than the obvious high-density unity. In the relative dimensions, the density of separation is higher, and thus these aspects of reality become more pronounced. Within the relative, there are two structures that were discussed in this last chapter. Triad, one object, three elements. Dyad, one object, two polarities. A triad doesn't have opposites, and a dyad only has an opposite relative to itself. Let's take temperature, for example. Hot and cold are opposite poles of the same thing, temperature. Truly opposite in this sense is not pointing to something else, just a different degree of expression of the same thing. What is hot and cold is relative to you. The center point from which something becomes either hot or cold depends on your own experience of it. For example, if you are an iceberg, minus 20 degrees Celsius may be the center point, and 3 degrees is really hot. You're melting. But 3 degrees for us is super cold. I hope you liked the little bit of a theoretic explanation behind it and going into the triad in this detail and what the goal is for all of us. reaching full alignment in thought, word, and deed, so we can live it in our true experience. Truly, that is self-realization. By thinking, speaking, and acting in full alignment with the highest vision we have for ourselves, we can self-realize that. And through that, even realize a greater and ever greater version of self. Because when you really dive into this stuff is limitless. And I always love to talk about this, so feel free to leave your comments below. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Make sure to find the playlist for this series in the description below. And if you liked this content, or just simply appreciate all the hard work I put into this, you can help me by liking and subscribing so you won't miss out on any future content and more people with your interests can find this content. I wish you an amazingly bright day, week, month, year. Life, we are we, and we are one. Hami Ham. Brahma.